Jones's numbers go 20 of 29 for 212 and 2 touchdowns, but this one was set on rookie mode for Indy against this Raiders team that has to reassess their path forward. Back in studio to dive in here. This was a bounce-back moment for the Indianapolis Colts, something under Shane Steichen that they have not struggled with. Since 2024, it's 4 consecutive wins following a loss. Their last back-to-back losses were 3 straight in 2024 from Week 8 to Week 10. What does that tell you about a team, the way they're being coached, and the way that Indy has responded in those moments?
Their ability to not put forth 2 bad outings. That's what good teams usually do. And the issue for Indianapolis in years past was just being consistent. I think we're starting to see that consistent stride be implemented throughout their locker room. Because when you look at the Indianapolis Colts, guys, let's keep it real. They're 2 mishaps away from that ball game last week of being undefeated. Because if you look at the A.D. Mitchell fumble going across the goal line, if you look at the holding call that brought back a touchdown, either one of those plays converts for Indy. They're undefeated right now. And they played a very, very tough team on the road in the Los Angeles Rams. So when you look at what the Indianapolis Colts are right now, it starts and it stops with their lead singer, Indiana Jones. Very, very efficient day. The volume wasn't there, but I love this meme in terms of what he had to do throwing the football. 20 of 29, 212, 2 touchdowns. But get this, they were 8 of 10 on third downs. Yeah. They were perfect in the red zone, 6 for 6 in the red zone. That's real efficient, clean football, not to mention JT, what he's done smoothly in a timely way in running the football, and also they're getting him involved in the passing game. So this is a defense, I think when you look at their defense, Joe, they don't have some of the household names that we've grown accustomed to cheering for, but they got guys that understand their role, they embrace their role, and they make things happen today. You get 2 big-time interceptions on Geno Smith. To your point, Geno has 9 interceptions to go so far this season, and what Indy does is they put you in uncomfortable positions on the football field, and they force you to play the game with your left hand when you're a right-handed player, and usually that works in their favor, and that's what we've seen thus far in this first quarter of the season.
It's a secondary that knows how to take the ball away as well. You add those 2 things up and you get something like this. Mac, you talked about the quality of their loss against LA. Talk to me about the quality of their wins, because I'm looking at the Dolphins, I'm looking at the Broncos, I'm looking at the Titans, and now I'm looking at the Raiders. The Broncos obviously is going to be a tough out for anybody this season, but have you seen enough to open your heart to Indianapolis, this current version of them, as a real playoff contender in your eyes?
I have. You know, initially when I looked at Indy, I felt like they were a bully that were benefiting from playing against non-bully type teams. But then what I saw last week, it really made me look at them from a different set of lenses, because the Rams can be a bully of a ball game too, of a ball club. So what happens when a bully fights a bully? Usually the best bully prevails. What we saw last week, Indy I felt like they were the best bully, but just the mishaps led to them losing that ball game. So now when you go and you play against a team you should dominate, that's what good teams do. They don't play around with their food. And so far this season, you can like or love what they've done or hate it, but the teams they're supposed to dominate against, they have done that. And you have to appreciate that, because one thing that we're seeing within this new culture they're learning how to win. They're not learning how to make games dicey and interesting against teams they're not supposed to. They're taking them out in deep water and they're drowning them immediately. And that is a positive sign for a team that has playoff aspirations. And the last thing I say about the Colts, when you look at their division, it's still kind of wide open. The Texans are not the team that we thought they would be. There's still a lot of football left to be playing, but it seems like that window in terms of getting that crown in that division is wide open, even though the Jags are playing pretty good football. But you look at the efficiency from all the top 3 teams in that division, I think Indy has been the cleanest so far this season.
Yeah, there is a clear leader in that clubhouse, Indianapolis, playing clean football, and it's led by their quarterback in Daniel Jones. We'll have to see more there, and we got more coming elsewhere throughout the hour. Your most 20-point wins in the first 5 games in Colts franchise history. And you think of this franchise, you think of the history, you think of the faces and the names, those that have executed in the past. Well, it's Daniel Jones's Colts with amplified some of those things. Injuries, no defensive stop, no real run game to show for it, and now 1-4. Do you see a road back, or is this what the 2025-26 Ravens are?
This is what the 2025 Baltimore Ravens defensively, this is the type of unit I think we should expect to see. Because even before the massive injuries that have been more recently, let's go back to when they were healthy. They surrendered 40-plus points to the Buffalo Bills in a ball game where they had a nice lead on the road week 1. And then you look at what has transpired since then. 38 points to Detroit, 37 to Kansas City last week, and 44 to the Houston Texans. If you haven't been watching NFL so far this season, offensively, the Houston Texans had no explosion plays. They were very inconsistent. They couldn't protect C.J. Stroud. But when you play against the Baltimore Ravens, most recently, it's a get-right moment for that said offense. We saw that last week with the Kansas City Chiefs. They put 37 points on the scoreboard. So now when you look at all the injuries that have been associated with the Baltimore Ravens, I think this is what you need to expect to see. Offensively, you will have to outscore the opponent, because until I see otherwise, this defense, there are a lot of holes on this defense. All 3 levels, they don't tackle well. There are issues in zone droppage. You look at the coverage side of things, they're not creating turnovers. You can just have your way with the Baltimore Ravens defensively, and that's a hard thing to say when you look at, historically speaking, what defense has meant to that said organization.
It's one of those places that take pride in it. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Chicago. If the defense isn't there, you're not likely to have an offense that's going to outpace some of those inefficiencies.
Yeah.
When you look at the defensive performance this year, they've allowed 41, 17 to the Browns, 38, 37, and now 44. There is absolutely no stop. But let's give some flowers as well to C.J. Stroud in this Houston offense, because just 3 weeks ago, we're sitting here saying, can they protect him? Is C.J.
comfortable? And C.J., run the football more. It's okay, because when you do that,
I think you called for that.
I've been calling for that, especially when you look at some of the mishaps that we were seeing on the offensive line. The best way to help an offensive line out that has been struggling, run the football. Improvise, whatever the case may be, because we know they're not calling quarterback design runs for you, CJ. Okay, we understand that. But you have the ability to do what you did today, here or there in moments of a ball game that gets the flow of the offense going. And also, as a defender, now we have to account for that opportunity when it presents itself for you to run the football. And outside of that, look at the running game. Kudos to the offensive line. When you guys get back to Houston, you deserve a big bucket of barbecue, chicken, brisket, whatever the case may be, because not only did you protect your quarterback well, you set up running lanes for whoever the runner was running the peel. 167 yards on the ground. They averaged over 5 yards per carry. That is winning football. If you go back to the first three ball games, they couldn't run the football at all. They couldn't sustain any positivity with running the football. You remember what made them so successful? Joe Mixon and how they ran the football. Today, they got back to that identity, and we saw what we thought we would see from Houston today to start the season off was balance. C.J. Stroud looking like the old C.J. Stroud and finding ways to close the ball game with the running game.
Not going to devalue it, but it's a bit of a diner menu defense for the Ravens. You can have whatever you want against this Ravens team. They can't rush the passer. They can't stop the run. And Stroud, in turn, turns it into an 80% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Just the second player in Houston Texans history to accomplish that feat. Let's close with a thought here on the Baltimore Ravens, because we're 1-4. Big time expectations to take that next step this season and find yourself on a championship Sunday, find yourself on a Super Bowl Sunday. They're looking at the Rams, the bye, and then the Bears. If you're going into the bye 1-5, we can waive bye. What does Coach Harbaugh need to get the most out of a group that's going to be dinged up still next week?
Well, it sounds like you're going to be missing your star quarterback in Lamar Jackson once again. I, for one, if you're going to play without Lamar Jackson, it's time to bring in Snoop Huntley, who's been a part of this organization for a while. He's been serviceable, given the opportunity. I think he fits their offense more so than Cooper Rush. And defensively, man, you're going to give up a lot, I think, in between the 20s. But if they can just focus on playing great red zone defense, having offense settle for 3 points, that might be a window of hope for them to weather the storm until their star quarterback gets into the
Thank you. Thank you.